Alright, yeah. That sucked. Um, I've made it low latency though, so it should not have any of the buffering problems anymore, and the stream was pretty small before anyway, so hopefully things will be okay moving forward. Alright. Sorry again about that. I'm sure people will hop in once they get here. And I'm just gonna jump right back in. We're gonna keep going. For the people who were not here before, here's the coaster ELO system. It's a very straightforward system, basically. You input your various credits. So for example, I put my top 100 credits in, and now they'll face off. So they have the Coney Island Cyclone versus Goodery at Parc Asterix, and they face off, and you get to decide, alright, which one do I think is better? Is the Coney Island Cyclone clearly better? Is Goodery clearly better? I don't know if anybody would say that besides, like, me, maybe, but you get the idea. If you think they're both about as good as each other, you can tie. You think the Cyclone's a little bit better, etc., etc. As we continue to do these matchups, it populates a top 10 and a bottom 10. So here at the top 10, you can see what we have so far. Because we haven't done so many matches, this top 10 isn't, like, very reflective of my actual top 10. But a couple of them are. Like, Fury's currently in the lead. Fury, I think, is, like, my number 7 overall. So it's not a crazy one. And then down here, we have or Silver Bullet, which is bringing up the rear for some reason. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to do this, just make it a little bit bigger. Alright, so, like I was saying before, I think the Cyclone and Goodery are kind of spiritually similar rides. They both kind of really toss you around, and they're both kind of brutal, but in a fun way. I'm with you, Civilian Satellite. Like, pre-refurb Cyclone was absolutely brutal, but since then it's... I wouldn't say it's smooth anymore, but it's pretty comfortable, and I just love, like, being in the train with the buzz bar and getting thrown around like crazy, so... It's definitely the Coney Island Cyclone, even if I have my little spot in my heart for Goodery. We got Kumba versus Phoenix. It's Kumba. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Wicked Cyclone v Skyrush. I'm going Skyrush here. I was actually a little disappointed with Wicked Cyclone, but not because it went on for too long. It's just, like, too small. Like, I thought that third lap was totally okay, and I actually thought that, like, the airtime hills weren't terrible, but it's just, like, it doesn't have, like, a long, like, really good ejector drop like, you know, a bigger RMC would have. You know, like Steel Vengeance and Iron Gwazi. Skyrush, in contrast, has one of the most nuts first drops in existence, so I think it gets the W here. And we got Alpen Fury versus It's Alpen Fury, pretty easily. Raptor Copperhead Strike, Raptor. A Canyon Blaster at the Adventure Dome versus Nemesis Inferno. Yeah, to be fair, I only rode Wicked Cyclone once because I went on a really packed day and it kept breaking down, so that might have made it slower. I don't know. I really like Six Flags New England, and I do hope to get back. This one's interesting. I'm gonna go Nemesis Inferno over Canyon Blaster. Canyon Blaster is a fun one. Shout out to the Buzz Bars, guys. I think they're at the Adventure Dome right now. Again, this is old. I should have totally, like, changed it, so while I was on the break, I should have made it, like, old Lightning Rod. But Lightning Rod with the launch is definitely better than the Raven. How much better, though? A decent amount better. Yes. Batwing v Tatsu. When I was first, like, making my top 100 list, like, the first year I started doing these things, I did say that Batwing was better than Tatsu, which I think is crazy. Oop. But then I rode Tatsu at night, and I realized I was extremely wrong, and Tatsu is definitely better than Batwing. Batwing is still a great ride, though. Again, these are all rides in my top 100, so... You got Intimidator at Carowinds versus Osiris at Parc Asterix. I don't think a lot of, there's not many people on the stream now, but, I don't know if the people who are in the stream have all ridden Osiris, but if you haven't, it's a very good B&M invert. An Intimidator is also an overhated ride, but I think Osiris takes it here. It's really liking Batwing. Batwing over... Ooh. 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 Batwing. We got Fahrenheit over Shikra. I've been sleeping on Fahrenheit. The past times I've gone to Hershey, I've been surprised at how much I love Fahrenheit, honestly. So it's gonna be Fahrenheit. We got Candemonium versus the Thunderbolt at Kennywood. An interesting matchup, isn't it? It's Candy, but I do really like Thunderbolt. We have Diamondback versus Ghost Rider. Does anyone else feel like Diamondback hasn't been as good lately? Or is that just me? Because I think at least like this year and like last year, Diamondback hasn't been as good as I remembered it. And it's kind of been slipping down my rankings. Meanwhile, I haven't been on Ghost Rider in a couple years. But I mean, it's Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider gets the edge here. Honestly. Both really good rides, but Ghost Rider's got that something. It's got that sauce. What it doesn't have is good ops, but that's a different story. We're not rating ops here. The Voyage over Grizzly. Ooh. Grizzly is really good now. Grizzly is so good. It is not as good as the Voyage, and I don't think anyone's gonna disagree with me on that. But Grizzly's really jumped up my ranks this past year. It's crazy. Oh, Tornado at Stricker's Grove versus Canyon Blaster at the Adventure Dome. Now, has anyone been on Tornado at Stricker's Grove in this comment section? If you haven't, it has the most diabolical airtime hill I have ever experienced in my entire life. It's basically that. The rest of the ride's just like an old rickety Woody. But that airtime moment is so ridiculous, and like, you only have buzz bars. You basically get drop kicked by the train. It's so much fun. Based on the strength of that alone, I think it takes it over Canyon Blaster, honestly. Yeah. Yeah, no, that drop is insane. It's like halfway through the ride, too. Like, you don't expect it's going to be coming until it happens. You're just, like, kind of bouncing along, and then just, like, the floor falls out from under you. I remember I went there on, like, you know, one of the public days, and I rode it in, like, the middle of the train because I didn't know what to expect, and I was by myself at that point. So I rode Tornado in the middle of the train, and I'm like, it's okay, and the airtime hill happened. I'm like, oh my god. So then I looped around, I went back onto the ride, and I went to the ride op, who was like a 16-year-old kid who probably lives 5 minutes away, and I'm like, can I sit in the very back? And he's like, are you sure about that? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you know it's like really rough back there, right? And I'm like, I don't care. I want to sit in the actual, like the direct back. And I did, and it was nuts. Then I had some friends joined me there, and they were all, I was just like talking nonstop about how great this airtime hill and Tornado was. And they're like, how good can it possibly be? How good can it possibly be? So then we went on it, and I was kind of just like sitting in front of them doing that like, you like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward face, waiting for the airtime hill to hit. And when it hit, they were like, holy shit, that was amazing. So anyways, Tornado has a good airtime hill. That's a long segue. Wonder Woman v Afterburn. I think two opinions about this. One, Wonder Woman is underrated, and two, Afterburn's a little overrated. That being said, though, I still think that Afterburn takes the W here. Yeah? Anyone disagree with that? Anyone disagree with Afterburn taking the W? Maybe I'll bump it up to straight B. Is it that good? Is it that much different? I did put some lag on the stream to stop the buffering, by the way, so you're probably like 10 seconds behind me, so I'm trying to give some time for people to post their opinions. Alright, I'm going Afterburn. Magnum v Canyon Blaster. Obviously Magnum. Next. Cyclone over Velocicoaster. I'm sorry, Coney Island Cyclone, but it's clearly Velocicoaster, isn't it? Yeah. Flash Vertical Velocity versus Thunderhead at Dollywood. Both really fun. I'm gonna give this a tie. Montu v Batman the Ride. I bet there are people in here who would put Batman the Ride over Montu. Okay, not necessarily, but I bet there's like 2% of enthusiasts who would put Batman the Ride over Montu. I'm not one of those. Montu is incredible. So it's Montu. Then we have Ninja versus Wildcat's Revenge. I'm sorry, Ninja. That's an easy. Thunderbird v Grizzly. Okay, this is how good Grizzly at King's Dominion is now. It wipes the floor with Thunderbird. Like, if you haven't been, it's not even a contest. Iron Gwazi versus Hagrid. Hagrid's a lot of fun. Hagrid's underrated. It's Iron Gwazi. Steve versus Batman the Ride. It's Steve. Phantom's Revenge versus its neighbor. Isn't that cute? The choice here is obvious. I do love them both, though. It's Phantom. Montu versus Skyrush. Ooh. Both insane rides. I think Skyrush takes the cake, but I could be convinced on this one, honestly. I'm happy to hear your opinions. I'm sure there are Skyrush haters somewhere that would pick almost anything over Skyrush anyway. I'm not one of those people, but I do think it's Skyrush. I have no idea what this beer is, by the way. I got a 24-pack of assorted German beers from Costco, and they're all random beers that I've never heard of in my life. So, this is the Schaubetaler Landbier. I hope that's right. I'm trying my best to learn German. It's surprisingly difficult. Yeah, I'm gonna go Skyrush here, but it's close. Dominator at King's Dominion versus Steel Force at Dorney Park. I'd say they're about equal. Yeah, they're about equal. Velocicoaster versus King Dakar. Does anyone else feel that people are getting a little rose-colored glasses-y with King Dakar? Maybe it's because I've ridden it hundreds of times, like every single year since it opened. But I think people are starting to overrate the experience a little bit. Velocicoaster takes it pretty comfortably. We have the Big Bad Wolf versus Griffin. There was a time when these two rides overlapped. I think it was like 2 years or whatever. I did not go to the park during those 2 years, unfortunately. Now, I know it's a nostalgia thing, and I know I just talked about how nostalgia is clouding people's opinions of King Dakar, but also the Big Bad Wolf is really good. It's weird to think it's been 15 years since I last rode it, and Big Bad Wolf was my first ever roller coaster. I got a lot of laps on it. It's a similar thing with Dueling Dragons. I got a lot of laps on it. Like, pretty much on an annual basis from when I started riding roller coasters to when it closed down, but it's just like, you know, every year the memories get a little more distant, which is sad to think, because I was thinking about Dueling Dragons the other day. I'm like, damn, I'm never gonna experience that again. It's sad. Oh, hello, a fellow Big Bad Wolf first creditor. Good time. Yeah, okay, so I'm gonna give it to Big Bad Wolf. The Cyclone... Ooh. 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 You know, actually, I can't in good conscience say the Cyclone is better. The Cyclone has better laterals, Phoenix has better airtime. They both have buzz bars. Cyclone has funnier trains. They're pretty much tied. Okay, Grizzly over Wonder Woman. It's Grizzly. Lightning Rod versus Galactica. We don't even need to... Vortex v Thunderbolt at Kennywood. Valraven versus Dominator. Okay, some of these are pretty straightforward. Levi versus Wicked Cyclone is a little less so. I'm I'm gonna say it's Leviathan. Again, like, I've only had one ride on Wicked Cyclone, and I think it could be, it could definitely be better, but it's Leviathan. Nemesis, ooh, Battle of Two, pretty evenly matched B&M inverts. We have Nemesis Inferno versus Silver Bullet. So, who's ridden Nemesis Inferno in the comments? Is anybody? Or is it just gonna be kind of my word against the Void? Silver Bullet, I think, is a very underrated invert. The first drop, notwithstanding, but the first drop's really funny, at least. So, I give it that. Nemesis Inferno is very good. It's like slightly bigger Batman clone, a little less forceful than a Batman clone, but a little bigger. Honestly, I'm gonna tie these. These are both solid rides. Alright, Apollo's Chariot versus Hang Time. Yeah, no, no one talks about how good Silver Bullet is. I don't understand it. It's very slept on. And it's low rating over here is just a factor of we haven't done enough matches yet. Like I said earlier, I think in the first stream, I tried this with all 260 of my credits, and I did 1,000 matches, and it was still not a big enough of a sample size, so I'm like, okay, I need to cut this down to my top 100. It's Apollo. Viper v Dominator. That's my Viper preference showing. Gwazi v Skyrush. Would it be crazy to say this is a tie? I think this is a tie. I think this is a tie. If anyone disagrees, feel free to speak your opinions in the comments. Yes, I have Jazz playing. It is Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. Both overrated. Whoa. Disagree. Tie. I'm tying it. Tatsu versus Superman, Ride of Steel. I don't know if this, me playing, like, Blue Note jazz in the background is gonna get, like, a copyright strike on this later. I think it's fine, though. But we'll find out. Tatsu over Superman. The Bat versus Twisted Colossus. Twisted Colossus, easy. X2 versus the Bat. X2. Thunderhead versus Galactica. Galactica's fun, but Thunderhead's better. Wildcat's Revenge versus Dragster. Same thing with King Daka, like I was saying before. One Trick Pony. Very good trick, but one Trick Pony. Kumba v Skyrocket. That is a pairing I've never thought of in my life. Skyrocket, criminally underrated. Kumba... Sorry. I only got one Kumba ride on. I only got one ride on Kumba in the 6th row. Like, the one day I went to BGT. It was not the best day. It was hot as balls. It was crowded. Kumba wasn't open for half the day, and then it opened up with one train running, so it got swarmed immediately. Kind of sucked. So I don't have the best Kumba ride to go off of, but I do think Skyrocket is wildly underrated. The second half is pretty terrible, but it's funny. That said, yeah, okay, I gotta give it to Kumba. I gotta give it to Kumba. Yukon Striker versus Thunderbolt. This, I think I prefer Thunderbolt. Yeah, okay. The Raven versus Skyrocket. The Raven's taking that. And we have Osiris versus Galactica. Osiris is taking that. Dominator v Canyon Blaster. You would think that just given my general inclinations, I would pick Canyon Blaster, but I think Dominator has it here. Canyon Blaster didn't impress me as much as I thought it was going to. Yeah, T-Bolt does need a few wins. Here's the problem with this kind of setup, is that we have 77 matches so far, and we still are, like, nowhere near, like, the sample size we need to actually get, like, a representative sample. So, like, I don't think that poor Thunderbolt deserves to be down here. I don't think Actually, yeah, the Bat's probably at the bottom of my top 100. Galactica deserves it. Goodery probably deserves it. Anyways, you would think that... Wait, Mr. Mullet, did you just ride Canyon Blaster? Like, are you in Vegas, or no? Because if you are in Vegas and you just rode it, then I'm curious to hear your opinions. I think it pretty consistently had a good ride on Dominator. I'm just gonna go Dominator. Yeah, I'm gonna go Dominator. Okay. Ooh. Yeah, April last year. Okay, I rode it February of last year. 16 times in a row. That's another video that did not do very well, so... Yeah, see? Plugging the channel. Also, while I'm plugging the channel, if you've not liked the video yet, since I had to restart the stream, please give the video a like, because I'm kind of had to restart from scratch and regrow the audience. Again, sorry about the latency issues. The internet is not as good here. I'm trying my best. I think we're pretty good now, right? It doesn't seem like it's been buffering. I just had to put more of a delay and lower the latency. Okay. I already talked about how awesome that hill on Tornado is at Stricker's Grove, but you know what else has an absolutely awesome hill? Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England, and its 4th hill, which is off the fucking chain. I rode Superman for the first time, like, October, I think? Which is kind of shocking because I only live 2.5 hours away. I don't know why it took me so long to get to Six Flags New England. But yeah, Superman the Ride takes this easily. Sorry, Tornado. Tornado has one great moment, Superman has a bunch. Yeah, the U-bricks kind of suck, but it's still an incredible ride. Alpi over... It's Alpi. I'm sorry, Expedition Everest. Has anyone been on Boulder Dash since they put on the Titan track? Because I've not. It's been a couple years since I got on Lake Compounds. And that being said, I'm inclined to pick it over Apollo anyway, so I'm just gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay, Wildcat over Skyrocket. Yeah, this is Wildcat's advantage. Osiris versus Great Bear. Ooh. Ooh. That's a tie. Yukon Striker v Hang Time. Boulder Dash is it's a very special ride. I need to get back on it, but I don't know when that's gonna happen. Probably like when I come back to visit family during the summer at IK. Yukon Striker v Hang Time. Hang Time. Underrated ride. Afterburn v Griffin. Maverick versus it's Maverick. I was surprised at how much I liked Hang Time. I don't know, I expected very little of it, but it surprised me. For those who are curious, by the way, also Hang Time just came up again, that's weird. When I went to Knott's, Accelerator was closed. It was during that big refurbishment, so Accelerator is unfortunately not here. Which is a shame. However, Great Bear clears. Rita versus Silver Bullet. Silver Bullet. The Raven versus Banshee. Okay, that's something people probably know. That's a tough one. They're very different rides, which I love for very different reasons. Banshee's been sneaking up on my list every year. I like it more and more, which kind of surprises me. It was running like hell this year. I mean that in a good way. Like, it was running like crazy. So strong. That said, the Raven was also running like absolutely nuts. The Raven during Hollywood Nights is incredible. You know, so we got a Raven by a mile, and then we have a Banshee by a mile. Perfect. You know, Banshee was off the cuff. It feels like it's getting faster and faster every year, but... what was I saying about... yeah, Hollywood Nights. The Raven at Hollywood Nights was unhinged. So good. I ended up riding the Raven, like, way more than I did the Voyage. Like, obviously, the Voyage is great. Trimless Voyage is a spiritual experience, but you have to wait, like, 45 minutes to an hour for it, or you can go to ride the Raven 6 times in a row. And I'd recommend doing that because the Raven was incredible. If I had to pick myself, I think I'm going slight edge to the Raven, but I think this is pretty evenly matched. Alright. Wazi v Ninja, easy. Velocicoaster versus Volcano. Wow. That's a fun one. I think the answer is pretty obvious here, but it's kind of an interesting comparison. I mean, they're both Intamin multi-launches that are famous for their roles. I think the novelty of Volcano kind of vaults it a lot higher than, you know, the actual quality of the ride. It did a lot of meandering after the launch. Goddamn, being shut out of the Volcano was cool. Still, Velocicoaster takes it. Top Thrill 2 v Dominator. It's Top Thrill 2. Ka versus Everest. It's Ka. Phantom's Revenge v Griffin. The Raven versus Two Tatis. You know what's weird? I've been on Two Tatis, but I've not been on Pantheon, which is bizarre because Two Tatis is 5,000 miles away and Pantheon is like 500. But no, I never got on Pantheon. I hear that Two Tatis is just Pantheon, but better. And if that's the case, then Pantheon's probably a pretty good ride, because Two Tatis is great. Oh no. Oh no. Hello, welcome to the stream. Thank y'all for coming. I'm glad. Thankfully, we've reached a good balance here. Again, sorry about the stream confusion, but it seems like we've recovered pretty well, which is awesome news. It's sad because these are both defunct rides now. Oh, I don't want to think that. And these are both defunct rides that are very important to me. If I have to evaluate on the quality of the roller coaster experience, I think it's gotta be a very slight edge to Batwing. But, that's a tough one. Top Thrill 2 v Yukon Striker. It's Top Thrill 2. Montu v Lightning Run. I already talked about how Lightning Run, I think, is kind of overrated, so Montu gets it. The big one v Skyrocket. That's a funny one. Tie. Valraven, Rita, tie. Lightning Rod, Ghost Rider. This is OG Lightning Rod with the launch, so I'm gonna say that. Nemesis Inferno versus Icon. Fahrenheit versus Dragster. Fahrenheit's kind of a great ride. I keep being more and more impressed with it. That said, I do think Dragster takes the W here. Thunderbird, Hagrid, Thunderbird. Apollo's Chariot, Ninja. Okay, I-305 versus... Okay, Pantherian / Project Intimidate, and then it got cut off. V-Tornado. It's I-305 is my number one. Oh, this is a fun one. There we go. Copperhead Strike v Stormrunner. Does anyone in the comments think that Copperhead Strike deserves to win this? I know where I stand, but I'm curious if anyone else happens to disagree. Because I feel like it's a pretty easy W for Stormrunner, but I don't know, maybe there's some Copperhead Strike fanboys out there. Has a longer layout, has the fun JoJo roll at the beginning, better hang time, but Stormrunner is a banger. Stormrunner is an absolute banger. It's one of those rides that every year I'm surprised that I still like it as much as I did. Because I've been riding Stormrunner basically since it's opened. Every time I come back to it, it continues to impress. Fury versus Ka. Pretty easy Fury. Montu v The Legend. Ooh. Very different rides, but very fun rides. The Legend is also off the chain. Yes. Stormrunner is definitely the best hydraulic launch on the East Coast. I mean, is it the only one left at this point? Right? I think it is. That's kind of sad. Okay. I struggle with this one because I really like both of these rides, but they are very different rides. The Legend at night is nuts. And I went to Holiday World twice this year. Once for Hollywood Nights, and then once just I happened to be in Indianapolis for a work thing. So I rode it twice at night, and it was just as good as it was at Hollywood Nights. So I'm really struggling with this. I think I'm 80-something% sure that I have the Legend ranked at 25, and I have Montu ranked at 23 on my coaster rankings. So, yeah, Legend at Night is a transformative experience. Every single coaster, like every single major coaster at Holiday World, is an incredible night ride. And obviously the Voyage gets all the hype, which is kind of deserved because it is an amazing night ride, but don't sleep on the rest of the park, because the rest of the park is absolutely incredible at night. Like, Thunderbird at Holiday World, like, was really good. I rode Thunderbird like 5 times during Hollywood Nights. I was with Nathaniel Hawk Vandelay, and he didn't want to wait online for Voyage, so he just rode Thunderbird 13 times in a row, I think. Anyways, I'm giving a tie to this. This is a tough one. Osiris, Valraven, Osiris, Ride of Steel in America versus the Bat. Yeah, no, you have to sit on the left side for the Legend. That's not even a contest. My favorite CCI, I think, is the Legend. Yeah, it's either the Legend or Ghost Rider, but I think it's the Legend by a slight edge. Maybe it'll pop up. Who knows? Ride of Steel v the Bats. Ride of Steel. Vortex Encounters Wonderland v Top Thrill 2. Hot take maybe, but it's Vortex. Orion versus Rita. It's Orion. Storm Chaser versus Boulder Dash. Voyage versus the. Oh wow, isn't that cute? Is anyone gonna argue with me saying it's the Voyage? It's the Voyage. Flash Vertical Velocity versus Thunderbolt. Flash is surprisingly fun. I really enjoyed it. If any of you have not gotten on to Flash, it's worth your time. Yeah. Jersey Devil v the big one. Jersey Devil. Osiris v Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone. Twisted Colossus versus the Coney Island Cyclone. Sorry, Coney Island Cyclone. TT2 versus Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone. Verbolten v... Ooh, okay, there we go. That's a good match. Sorry if I'm kind of going through the, if I'm going through some of these matchups a little more quickly, the less interesting ones. I feel like it's better to kind of breeze through those and spend time on more interesting lineups. But if you disagree, then we can argue through all of the choices, but I think it's more fun to kind of jump to more interesting matchups. Like this one, Verbolten versus Griffin. This is a good one. Verbolten is a really good ride, and it surprised me when I first rode it because I thought it was going to be very meh and forceless, but I really enjoyed Verbolten. Griffin is also an underrated ride. It's nice that it doesn't have vests. It's got decent airtime, solidly long layout. If I had to make the choice myself, I think Verbolten has the slight edge. But I am happy to hear opinions from others that may have differing thoughts. I mean, it's probably a bunch of thuzies in the comments, so I'm sure you all generally agree that we're not going to take the dive. Griffin does need more wins. It does not deserve to be at the bottom. It's a very solid ride. That said, I think I'm still going to take Verbolten. We could also we could very possibly get Verbolten versus Big Bad Wolf, so stay tuned on that. Volcano versus Batman the Ride. That's a fun one. I think, gun to my head, if I only had to ride one of these for the rest of my life, I think it's Volcano. But Batman is kind of the better ride. I think I'm going with Volcano, though. Yeah, Volcano. Volcano. Anyone against Volcano? Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times. I'm making sure the stream catches up because it's lagging a bit. And Volcano. Quasi v the Bats, Quasi. Steel Curtain v King Dakar. Okay, that's fair. I don't want to litigate all of the Batman the rides, though. I'm just like... We're going to just treat Batman the Ride as the generalized conglomerate of Batman the Rides. Also, I think the Magic Mountain one's pretty good. Oop. I did a weird pairing, but I think it kind of evenly matched. I finally got Steel Curtain this year. It's a lot of fun. A lot more fun than I was expecting. Obviously, King Ka is King Ka, but I think as a coaster experience, I think Steel Curtain's gonna take the W here. Yeah. Jersey Devil v Ghost Rider. Two Tatis versus Hagrid. Two Tatis is like the adult version of Hagrid's. So. Viper. I'm sorry, Coney Island Cyclone, but it's Viper. Flash versus Ninja. Flash. Volcano versus Tornado. They both have one great moment and a bunch of meandering. Tie. Batwing v Maverick. I love Batwing, but it's Maverick. It's easily Maverick. Okay, I-305 versus the Big Bad Wolf. It's I-305. Batman the Ride over Rita. Iron Gwazi v Nemesis Iron Gwazi. Diamondback v Gudri. Nitro versus the Big Bad Wolf. Interesting. Coughing Baby v Hydrogen Bomb. Yeah, we're gonna get some of those matchups here. This, I think, is more evenly matched than it would appear on the surface. I guess I should clarify now if there's a second Big Bad Wolf. This is the OG. The Arrow Suspended. And these are both coasters that I rode the hell out of. In fact, these were like two of my favorite coasters when I was a child. Man, to pick one, I think it's gotta be the Big Bad Wolf. And I think a lot of that is to do with the nostalgia, and just like, it's been 15 years and I miss that thing, and wish I could go back in time and ride it again. And I've ridden Nitro every year, and sometimes Nitro sucks, and sometimes Nitro's great, and there's no consistency to it. So I'm gonna go Big Bad Wolf, slight edge. Afterburn v Ghost Rider. Velocicoaster v Two Tatis. Oh, I think it's... Oh, that's tough. For those who've not been on Two Tatis, just substitute Pantheon. Two Tatis is basically Pantheon with a slightly longer layout. I initially go straight to Velocicoaster, but also, is that necessarily true? Because I feel like the swing launch sequence on Two Tatis is really fun, and the theming on Two Tatis is also pretty good. Like, not as good as Velocicoaster's theming, but pretty solid. I guess it's gotta be Velocicoaster though, slightly. Yeah, Two Tatis is better because he's French. If anything, that's a point against Two Tatis, so. Voyage clears. Great Bear versus Canyon Blaster. Great Bear. Lightning Run versus Everest. Lightning Run. Lightning Rod v the Raven. I feel like we've had this exact matchup before. Is that just me? Okay. Great Bear v Skyrocket. Great Bear. Guardians versus Galactica. Guardians. Viper v Suit. I know I'm the only person who thinks this, but I don't care. It's my list. I can do what I want. Alpi versus Lightning Run. Alpi, yeah? Alpi? Anyone against Alpi? Anyone against Alpi? I don't get the Lightning Run hype. I really don't. Not a bad ride, but it's just, I rode it like 5 times, and every time I got off, I'm just like, eh. So I'm giving it to Alpi here. Banshee v Thunderbird Holiday. I'm always taking the invert. Lightning Rod v Behemoth. Ooh. Behemoth is my new fave B&M Hyper, having just ridden it this summer. It's really good. I think that we're gonna go with... I think it's a tie, honestly. Okay, I'm glad that people agree with me on Lightning Run, because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills sometimes when people talk about Lightning Run. It's crazy. Steve versus... I'm sorry, the legend. Velocicoaster versus El Loco. That's a Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb take. Great Bear versus Guardians. Great Bear. X2 versus Orion. Is there anyone who would take Orion over X2? Because I'm certainly going to take X2 over Orion, but I can understand why people might prefer Orion. Great Bear v Skyrush. Sorry, Skyrush. Sorry, Great Bear. You're getting mobbed. Osiris v Hyperion. Hyperion is a lot of fun. So, Candy v Talon. Candy. Batman the Ride versus... Okay. 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 A Bat Clone versus Mystic Timbers. I think it's pretty evenly matched. In fact, I would probably give the edge to Batman. I don't think most people are going to agree with me on that. But at the end of the day, I'm the one making the decisions, but I'm happy to hear arguments about it in the comments. I've had night rides on Mystic where it's like really warmed up and it's a lot of fun, but it's just... Batman the Ride and like any B&M invert in general is just so much more punishingly intense, and that's the sort of thing that I like. I like intense rides, so I would go Batman. Any disagreement? Feel free to air out your grievances now before I click the button. I don't know, I like it was running well. It's just like it tosses you around, it throws you around. It's a lot of fun, but it doesn't feel forceful. And it's kind of weird to say because like there's a lot going on, but it just doesn't feel as intense as I want it to. Exactly, it's my list. I could do Alpine Fury v El Toro. I need other people to weigh in here because I have a lot of bias. My proximity to El Toro, I think, hurts my opinion of the ride because I've been in it so many goddamn times in my life that it's kind of, you know, I'm just too familiar with it. Like, yes, it's great, but I just be like, here we go again. Time for another ride in El Toro. Ugh. I think I'm finally going to discover Batman the Ride X2 and Viper in April. That'll be a fun trip. Definitely don't forget Tatsu. Tatsu's incredible. Alpine Fury's a lot of fun. I think Alpine Fury... In my list, El Toro is over Alpine Fury, but now that they're, like, against each other, I am leaning towards picking Alpine Fury. But again, like, I'm not the type of person who tracks, like, the number of times that I've ridden a ride, but, like, if I had to estimate, it would easily be in the hundreds for El Toro. Definitely, like, in the mid-hundreds. It's just, like... It's El Toro. I grew up going to Great Adventure. I've ridden it like every single goddamn year since it opened. Like, many, many times. So it's just like, the novelty of it's gone. I'm curious to see what happens when I move to Vienna and then I like come back at some time, like months later, and I go visit Great Adventure. Like, is it going to feel more special now that I'm like not there? IDK. We'll find out. Alpine Fury wins. Oh, ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, that's a fun one. Okay, wow, the stream lag is worse than I thought. Which again is fine because the stream's stable and that's the more important thing. Oh. So, what do y'all think is better, the Big Bad Wolf or its direct replacement? I have an opinion on this, and I'm curious to hear other people's opinions before I make my own known. So please, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. At least those of you who have been on both. Obviously, I know it's been 15 years since the Big Bad Wolf last ran, so... yeah, Ron Toomer's gonna judge my decision. I hate to agree that it's a painful Verbolten, but it's a painful Verbolten. It's, feels Just like hurts my arm to move the cursor up here. It's legitimately pains me. But yeah, for Bolton's really fun. I think it's better than the original. Okay, it's not. It's a slight improvement though. I'm not gonna go full A. I'm not gonna go full A. Orion versus Twisted Timbers. Is it crazy to say that I think Twisted Timbers is better? I think my rankings reflect that. Regardless, I'm also kind of curious to see like how, once I do this enough, like how this will end up matching with my actual like top 100 list. Like, is it going to reflect it, or is it going to be different once I do these actual comparisons? The problem is you need a really big sample size, so we're only at 158 now, and we have poor little Griffin and the Bat at Kings Island down at the bottom here. I don't think they deserve that. Like, okay, everything up here actually kind of makes sense. I think Velocicoaster's too high, but the rest of it's pretty sensible. Stormrunner v Ride of Steel. Oh. I do miss Ride of Steel, but it's Stormrunner. Thunderhead v Batman the Ride. That's a tie. It's tight. Ooh. Okay, this is good. Twisted Colossus versus Wicked Cyclone. I'm going into this with the impression, I guess you could say, that Twisted Colossus isn't going to duel, because let's be real, Twisted Colossus like never duels, so I think like we could say, oh yeah, like dueling Twisted Colossus is definitely better, but that's like a 1 in 25 chance of actually happening, so do we evaluate them as actual rides? Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. Tie because you can get a half duel, and a half duel is a lot more likely than a full duel. Yeah, no, I support that. I'll get behind that. I'm gonna say tie. It's El Toro. Top Thrill 2? Oh, Top Thrill 2 versus Nemesis. Again, I'm not sure how many of my audience have been on Nemesis, but it's a really fun time. And it takes the cake over Top Thrill 2, in my opinion. Steel Force v Skyrocket. The lift on Twisted Colossus does not wait for the other train. I mean, like, they'll slow down the lifts, but usually the dispatches are too long. And Twisted Colossus is, like, the only ride where I would actually support them putting lockers in. Because, like, if we could just get people, like, the people going over and throwing stuff over in the cubbies just hurts so much with the throughput. So, I would support them getting lockers. This is a tie? Yeah, it's a tie. And we got Raptor v Grizzly, and that's a tough one. Yeah, Nemesis is so fun. I was really happy to say it lived up to the hype. It's a weird ride, though, and it has some bizarre dead spots, but that first drop is shockingly good, and even though it's like 20 feet, and the corkscrews are absolutely insane. Like, better than a Batman clone corkscrews. I didn't think it was rough. Again, I have no sense of how it was originally. I've only been in it after the retrack, but it's a lot of fun. This is tough because these are both great rides. I think it's a tie, honestly. Raptor v Grizzly, yeah, it's a tie. Fahrenheit v Thunder, Fahrenheit. Kumba, ooh, Kumba versus a bat. It's Kumba. It's not that exciting. TT2 over Ride is Steel at Six Flags America. You know, these are kind of similar rides in a way, in that there's a lot of straight track going on, and one incredibly good moment of airtime, and then a lot of nothing else happening. So, based on that, I'm gonna say it's a tie. I feel like my opinions about TT2 are a little, unconventional. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I wrote it on 2 separate occasions, and I just thought, like, Isn't Monster at Walligator, is that a bat clone? Or is that the Raptor clone? I forget. I think Walligator's on my Maybe we could look at the maps once I'm done doing this. But I think Waligator's like a tier 3 in my tier list of European parks to hit up. By the way, while I'm on that kind of subject, so if you're not aware and you missed it from my previous video, I'm moving to Europe. I'm moving to Vienna in the end of February, and I'm gonna be there for at least a year, probably more, for work, which is really cool. I'm excited about that. But I made a whole video about like what my plans are. I made a tier list and basically like tiered all the parks in Europe that I want to hit up. Very excited. Obviously, there's like parks that are higher on my list versus parks that it'd be cool to get to, but you know, we'll see what happens. I don't know how much. Yeah, but like Superman also spends a lot of time going very fast. I guess you could argue. I mean, TT2 does feel faster, but what is that straight track on Superman if nothing else? Steve versus Vortex. Okay, it's Steve. Sorry to say. Steel Force El Loco. Tie. Hang Time the Bat. Tie. X2 v Nemesis. Thank you. I'm really excited too. It was a pain in the ass getting a job after everything kind of fell apart in American academia, but now we're back. Now we're back. Phantom's Revenge. It's Phantom. Stormrunner, Steel Force. It's Stormrunner. Wicked Cyclone. Yeah, Wicked Cyclone. Okay. Come on, give us something good. Give us something good here. Alpine Fury. Yeah. Vortex V2. A slight edge to Vortex, actually. I've ridden every single row of Steel Force. Maybe I should make a video about that. I've been on Steel Force hundreds of times. Yeah, row 3 is actually one of my favorite rows. It's usually the row I default to when I want to be in the front and I don't want to wait for the front. Iron Gwazi. No one's gonna judge. Intimidator. Legend versus Volcano Legend. Viper v Storm. Again, I know I'm weird to do this, but I'm putting Viper. X2 v Maverick. Okay, that's a fun one. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. I will be back in about 2 minutes' time, so y'all hang out. We'll be back soon. All right. Alright, we are back. Sorry about that. I think I agree that I would love Steel Dragon. It seems like a lot of fun. I maybe will possibly get to Japan. No guarantees with that, but they do a conference every year in Japan that a lot of people in my kind of research niche go to, so There's a possibility that I end up in Japan like that, which would be cool. Alright, anyways, back to the action. So here we have X2 versus Maverick. And every year, I have better and better opinions of Maverick. It's kind of crazy, like... I don't know what it is, but it's aging really, really well. The airtime is just so punchy, and the transitions are great. And obviously, it's kind of small, and I do wish that those trims after the second launch didn't exist, but... Overall, very fun ride. That said, I personally would rank X2 over Maverick, but they're both, like, really fun rides. I can see people arguing that Maverick is better, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree. But based on my personal preference, I'm going to say it's X2. Skyrush Leviathan. This is another one where I can see it going both ways, but my personal preference for getting my face absolutely ripped off by roller coasters has me in the Skyrush camp. Like, Leviathan is surprisingly forceful. Like, I was really impressed by how forceful Leviathan is. It's got nice positive Gs. Has some, like, really good moments of airtime. So, I guess it's a slight A to Skyrush. X2V Wonder Woman's an easy. Nitro versus the Bat. Nitro. Mystic versus Hang Time. I'll go Mystic. Stormrunner over Jersey Delta. Stormrunner. Dueling Dragons v Copperhead Strike. I don't want to be too sentimental, but it's Dueling Dragons. Verbolten versus the Bat. That's funny. Because it's Verbolten versus, you know, the Big Bad Wolf's cousin. It's still Verbolten. Phantom. We need a good, like, Phantom matchup. Okay. We need Phantom versus something good. Thunderbird v Griffin. Thunderbird. Maverick versus Volcano. I'm sorry, it's Maverick. Raptor v Phoenix. I'm putting Raptor here. Legend v Dominator. Dragster v Jersey Devil. Fury versus Hyperia. Now, if Hyperia were more than like 30 seconds long, I would give the edge to Hyperia, but Hyperia is only 30 seconds long. And Fury is like a minute and a half of glory, so it's Fury. Steve versus Twisted Colossus. Does anyone support Twisted Colossus here? I don't. It's A. Ghost Rider, Apollo's Chariots, Ghost Rider. Two Tatis, Fahrenheit. Steve versus Batman. Velocicoaster. Do we not have this? I feel, okay, I'm like 100% sure we had this matchup before. And it was Velocicoaster that won. Dueling Dragons. Lightning Rod versus Lightning Run. Montu Tatis. Yeah. Tie. Mystic over Phoenix. Tie. Montu v Nitro Montu. Mystic v Hangtime Mystic. Tatsu over Guardians. Storm Chaser versus the Raven. Storm Chaser. Orion versus Icon. Orion. Valraven. It's alright, we can see the receipts later. I'll look at the receipts later. Great Bear, Steel Curtain. Hi. Wazi v Lightning Run. Come on, we need something good here. We need something good here. Let's see it. Let's see something good. Steve versus Maverick. Okay, okay, there we go. It's funny how much people disagree about like the top 4 at Cedar Point. Because I know my top 4 has changed like a very solid amount in the past couple of years. It's like weird because it's just how it is. I know plenty of people who put Maverick over Steve. I'm not necessarily one of those people, but I understand the sentiment. If anyone does believe that Maverick is better than Steve, then feel free to share your opinions in the comments below. I think it's a defendable opinion. I really do. I can't believe how much I like Maverick. Like it gets better and better every year. It's crazy. Yeah. If I had to pick, it goes Steve. All right. Just making sure there's enough time for the chat to catch up. Again, sorry about the internet quality. I'm hoping once I get to Austria, the internet will be good. IDK, I'm in my parents' basement. This is how it is sometimes. Steve over Maverick. Ravine Flyer 2 v Copperhead Strike. It's for V Flyer too. Ghost Rider v Phoenix. Okay, I am in the Ghost Rider camp. Here's another. Okay, I was gonna say something about PTC trains, and I remember that Ghost Rider has Millennium Flyers, and I'm actually starting to grow a bit anti-Millennium Flyer. My opinion on this is that Ohio is too far from France. You know, you bring up a good point. Ghost Rider v Phoenix. I'm a big Ghost Rider proponent. I was gonna say that, like, with the PTC trains, you can get a ton of airtime room, but those trains aren't on Ghost Rider anymore. But it's Ghost Rider's incredible. If Ghost Rider had buzz bars, hoo boy, that'd be amazing. But it'd probably be a safety hazard. So, Utah T's, yeah. Volcano v Skyrocket. Tie. Diamondback. Great Bear v Vortex. It's Vortex. Full Throttle. Goodery. Alliance Full Throttle. Full Throttle's an underrated ride. Definitely an underrated ride. Mystic over Flash, yeah. Stormrunner v Kumba. Stormrunner. I'm pretty solid with that. I know people love Kumba. Monsu Hyperia. Slight edge to Hyperia. Ninja v the Bat. Ooh, okay. Now, I'm not trying to be biased by the fact that the Bat is way too low, and I think the Bat could use a bit of a boost in the ELO ratings, but the two of these, I actually do think that Ninja is a slightly better ride. The Bat is slightly more comfortable, though. It's probably a wash. They're both really fun, and I hope they never get rid of either of them. If you couldn't tell, I like Arrow Suspendeds. A part of that has to do with the fact that the Big Bad Wolf was my first roller coaster, but I just do think they're legitimately fun rides, and they could pull some good forces. I don't know, Ninja's like pretty wild. Ninja's surprisingly wild. Yeah, not Alpen Fury. Full Throttle is a really fun time. I think it's a very underrated attraction, but yeah, obviously its length is not ideal. Ghost Rider's gonna win over Dragster. Vortex at Canada's Wonderland. I said this in my top 25 video this year, and it kind of pained me to say it, but I finally found something in my life that recreates the experience of the Big Bad Wolf as a child. In fact, I found something better. It's called Vortex at Canada's Wonderland at night. Oh wow. Now I need to immediately eat my words. As Vortex goes up against Magnum. I'm sorry, Vortex. I love you. Oh, tough. Tough. Wazzy over Kitten, no one's gonna... Velocicoaster over Kumba. Yeah. Top Thrill 2 v Rita. It's Top Thrill 2 slightly. Ravine Flyer 2. Ravine Flyer 2 takes it over Copperhead here. Velocicoaster. The Great Bear v Steel. Yeah, it's a Great Bear. Great Bear's fun. Talon versus Galactica, that's Talon. Superman the Ride versus Superman. Volcano. Superman, oh, okay. That's a decent one. Superman the Ride v Behemoth at Canada's Wonderland. I'm tempted to say Superman the Ride, but Behemoth is, like, really good. Obviously, like, Superman brings on the intensity more than Behemoth does, but it does have a couple random dull spots, especially in the second half. And obviously, the restraints kind of suck. And Behemoth is just, like, perfect. It's just this non-stop buffet of delicious Flowjector. And the trims barely hit. It seems like the people disagree with my take. I don't know. No, Tanny Blaster is overrated. I think when it comes to Arrow Loopers, at least currently, there is a very large gap between, like, Viper and, like, everything else. Which is a shame, because I know a lot of them are closing, but I think Viper is, you know, in my top 3, and then there's a pretty big gap between all of them. Yeah, no, I do think you're right. I do think you're right here. I think Superman's got to take it. That's tough, though. That's tough. They're both great. Yeah, oh, I know. I'm gonna love Shambhala. Portaventura is on very high on my list of parks to go to, basically solely for Shambhala. Vortex v Leviathan. I made a Canada's Wonderland ranking video already, so I've already done this, where I labored for a very long period of time before deciding that Vortex is slightly better, but goddamn, Canada's Wonderland is a good top 4. Like, Levi, Vortex, Behemoth, and Alpenfury, just, like, incredible coasters, and I'm jealous. Tatsu v... Tatsu. Twisted Colossus v Dueling Dragons. Twisted Colossus. Great Bear, Behemoth. That's Behemoth. That is... yeah, when I go to Portaventura, I mean, it's really not a bad flight from Vienna. They have direct flights on, like, Ryanair or whatever, and they're pretty cheap, so... I'll try to do it cheap and get the express pass. But I also hear the resort's really nice, so maybe I'll stay over the resort. Tatis versus Orion. Cyclone Vigo. Cyclone. Ugh. Velocicoaster versus I-305. I feel like if you polled like 1,000 enthusiasts, most people would pick Velocicoaster, but I'm going with I-305 all day here. And that should probably shoot up I-305 a good bit. Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, Yukon Striker's amazing, too. You know, Canada's Wonderland's so good. They have such a good ride lineup. It's absurd. I'm jealous. Fury versus Leviathan. Okay. Fury's the winner here, but I think it's closer than you think. I think Leviathan feels a lot closer to Fury. At least I think Leviathan feels a lot closer to Fury than Orion does to Fury. Obviously, it's like the shortest of the three, and it's the original, and there's a couple like weird kind of pacing moments or whatever, but overall, Leviathan's like pretty close to Fury, like experience-wise. I mean, Fury's the perfection of the B&M Giga. That's obviously much longer, much more refined. It's better, but I'm surprised at how much I like Leviathan, honestly. Dragons. Silver Bullet. Steel Curtain v Dragster, it's a tie. Alpenfury over Montu. Yeah, exactly. Fury has more going on. Like, Leviathan does go up off the ground a good bit more than the other two, but it has really good positives, and the pacing still feels awesome, so I still love it. Alpenfury v Montu. That's Alpenfury slightly. Wazi clears. Raven clears. Millie versus Apollo. Is anyone here going to support Apollo's Chariot over Millie? Because not me. Viper v Raptor. Again, that's my own biases. Levi v Afterburn. Leviathan. Magnum versus Osiris. I'm sorry, Osiris. Or Bolton versus Nemesis. Steve. Fury versus Jersey Devil. Okay, here we go. This is a fun one. What's better, the original Top Thrill Dragster or Top Thrill 2? I hear a lot of varying opinions on this. I'm curious to hear what you all think about it. I'm really excited to visit Portaventura, honestly. I mean, Dragon Con seems awesome. Furious Baco, I know, I hear that it's really rough, but I'm excited for it, I don't care. First for Apollo Goose. So a lot of people think that Top Thrill 2 is better than the original, and I think it's basically a wash, honestly. Yeah, you get more ride duration with TT2. Those launches are just sad. Sorry to say, like, there's just nothing going on. And you kind of just... You know, it's fun going that fast, but there could have been... Zamperla could have done something, like, I think to Tatis or to Pantheon, where, you know, they kind of added an airtime hill in the middle of the launch sequence. Like, there's just so much kind of dead space where you're just sitting in that launch track just going straight and nothing's really happening, especially when you get to... Especially, like, the first and second launches where, you know, it's not really, like, kicking you in the ass like the Dragster launch does. So, overall, I think it's a wash. I know a lot of people, though, who vehemently support TT2 over the original Dragster. And I know people who love Dragster over the original, so... At the very least, I guess we could say, at least they kept the ride in some form, you know, instead of imploding it like certain other parks with their Intamin stratas. But, at least we have some semblance of the original Dragster, so I'll give it a tie. Stick. Grizzly versus Orion. Is it crazy to say Grizzly's better? Yeah, it is. It's Orion. Banshee. Banshee takes it. Alpenfury. Alpenfury. Nemesis over Big Bad Wolf. I'm sorry. Banshee over Wonder Woman. Phineas. Nah. Twisted Timbers. I keep getting Phantom up, but it keeps not having good matchups. I'm waiting for a good Phantom matchup. Ride of Steel at Darien Lake versus the Big Bad Wolf. That's a wash. Legend versus Batman. Legend. Still Phantom clears. The Phantom just keeps clearing, even though it hasn't faced any good competition yet whatsoever. Pumbaa over Copperhead Strike. TT2 over the Cyclone. Yeah, I'll give TT2 that. It's better than the Coney Island Cyclone. Okay, good. I'm glad that I'm hearing good things about Furious Baco. This will not dampen my enthusiasm for the ride. It's a little tough. Thunderbolt's a much more consistent ride. It has some solid airtime moments and great laterals. Obviously, Tornado has one really good moment. I'm gonna say it's a wash. X2 over B. It's X2. Fury versus Ninja. I wish there's... I mean, I didn't make this. You know, I found this app online. You know, maybe there's a way to kind of set up seating so that once the initial pairings kind of happen, they start pairing like closer to, you know, having the good rides paired up against the good rides and the bottom rides paired up against the bottoms. IDK. I'm not gonna complain because this was a free web app made by somebody in their spare time. And I'm enjoying it. I think it's a lot of fun just doing this, and I think it makes good stream content. So this is Twisted Colossus. Banshee, it's Banshee. Vortex v El Toro. That's a watch. TT2, yeah. Toro, yeah. Nemesis Inferno, yeah. Oh, okay. I like this one. Ravine Flyer 2 versus Boulder Dash at Lake Compounds. Ravine Flyer 2, it's really good, but then it has moments where it just totally dies. Boulder Dash is kind of consistently crazy throughout, but it doesn't have as good airtime as what Ravine Flyer 2 has, so it's pretty tight, I'd say. If I had to pick one, I think I'm going with Ravine Flyer 2. But I like this pairing. It's an interesting matchup. Again, I have not been to Lake Compounds in a while, so I haven't experienced it with the Titan track. I don't know how much it's going to really affect things. No. Yeah, these are both very solid rides. I think if I had to pick one, it's going to be Ravine Flyer 2, but it's a tight. I'm going to go slight edge to Ravine Flyer 2. Yeah, that's true. Ravine Flyer 2 is an amazing view. TT2 versus Leviathan. I'm picking Leviathan. It's not very close. Steve. Wazi v Stormrunner. I'm sorry, Stormrunner. Afterburn v Tornado. Grizzly. No, Grizzly's better than a Bat clone now. It's crazy. Crazy. Banshee v Big Bad Wolf. Banshee, I'm sorry to say. Alpi El Toro. Ghost Rider versus Nemesis. Ooh. Pretty similar, I would say. Both very good rides. El Loco Shikra. Shikra needs a W. For Bolton versus Ninja, we kind of had a similar... Silver Bullet. Storm Chaser v Talon. Storm Chaser. Mystic over Alpi. Great Bear v Yukon. Is anyone gonna get mad if I pick Great Bear over Yukon? Because I'm picking Great Bear over Yukon. Steel Curtain, Edge over Ninja, Lightning Rod. I'm sorry, Goodery, but no. Rebolton, Silver Bullet, yeah, just barely. King to Ka versus I'm hoping for a King to Ka v Dragster. That might happen. King to Ka v the Bats, King to Ka. Steve versus Alpi, it's Steve. Tatsu versus the Raven, it's Tatsu, but I do love the Raven. Okay, Fury versus Superman the Ride. Now I think that if Superman the Ride had the original T-bars, I think it would actually win this, but it doesn't have the original T-bars right now. Actually, I don't know if it's that true. I don't know if I'd go that far. Fury is really good. Fury's really good. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think Fury has to take it. I said this in my top 25 video this year. I think that if Superman the Ride were made in 2010, like around the time like I-305 with like, you know, more modern trains and the more modern track work, I think it would still be one of the best, if not the best roller coasters in the world. But it's a little unrefined, and there's a couple moments where it's just like kind of weird, like, you know, what the hell's going on, so it does have that against it. But then again, Fury also has that dead spot after the Hive Dive and that annoying trim break. But Fury's also much faster, smoother, more comfortable, more consistent. They're both really good. They're both really good, but Fury gets the edge here. I don't think Goodery's gonna go anywhere because they just threw a bunch of money into it, right? Like, I feel like it'd be weird if they threw a bunch of money at Goodery and then just immediately yanked it out of the park. And also, I was shocked to see how popular the ride was, because I thought everyone hates it. I really didn't understand, like, why it had, like, 40-minute lines all day. It did keep breaking down, which doesn't help that, but, you know. I do plan on getting back to Park Aesthetics. The record for number of straight times on Goodery is 23. And I think I want to try and beat that. It was some other YouTuber called like McFly and what, some French YouTubers. And I was in the middle of doing my marathon when, like, I think the second to last ride I was doing, I like looked down at this sign and I like hit Google Translate. I'm like, what's this about? And it said that, oh, these YouTubers wrote it 23 times in a row, and now we have a little plaque for them. So I want to take that away from them. Anyways, back to Fury v Superman. It's a tough one because Superman's great, but Fury gets the W here. Ooh, Ghost Rider versus Ravine Flyer 2. I think it's pretty comfortably Ghost Rider. Even if Ravine Flyer 2 has better forces, Ghost Rider's just like relentless from beginning to end. And Ravine Flyer 2 kind of dies at the end, so. Mystic v Talon, I'll give that to Mystic. Rebolton v Flash, Flash. Skyrocket v Phoenix. What do you mean by T2Z? Oh, Tonnerre de Zeus. Oh my god, that was rough. That was horrible. Yeah, the tracking is absolutely atrocious on Zeus, unfortunately. I wanted to like it. The layout's good. It's a beautiful ride, but it ground me to a pulp. So we did not go back on Zeus. We got like re-rides and a bunch of other rides. We only rode Zeus once, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't need to do that again. I mean, I'll just have a big Thuzy party at Park Aesthetics, and we'll see. We'll do like a Mr. Beast video. Like, how many times can you survive Goodery? See who can stay on the longest. I think I would need to get park permission for that, and the problem is I would have to talk to the French about that. And they'd be like, oh, you stupid American, we don't want you riding a glorious roller coaster. Yeah, the backwards row also wasn't there. If the backwards row was there, I might feel a little different, but they got rid of it, which is a shame. Hyperia, yeah, it's Hyperia. Dueling Dragons, Wicked Cyclone. Wicked Cyclone. Embers. Boulder Dash over the big one, yeah. Hyperia, yeah. Yeah. Hyperia over the Raven, yeah. Flash v the Bat, yeah, pretty much the same. Indika over Hagrid, yeah. Vortex v TT2, we've gone over my TT2 opinions. I feel like this is another matchup that happened. Again, not gonna hate because I didn't make this app, so. It does have repeats occasionally pop up, so I don't know. If you happen to be watching this for whatever reason, the person who developed that, good thing to put in the code, but it doesn't matter much. Flyer 2 over Raptor, Voyage v Mystic Tim. Yeah, it's Voyage. Why am I even acting as a contest? Ghost Rider over Orion? Yeah. Quasi over Tornado, yeah. Phoenix v the Cyclone. I'll give it to Phoenix here. I feel bad for the Cyclone. Again, good ride. Good ride. This is just out of my top 100, so if it were out of my top, like, 260, it would be a different story, but the problem with that is that it just takes way too many matches to get any sort of good data set out of it. Kumba v Silver Bullet. It's Kumba. Flash v the big ones, Flash. Raptor, I do prefer a Raptor over a Batman clone. Again, I know I'm the only person who's gonna do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Viper's better. X2 v Iron Gwazi. Is this a hot take? Is X2 over Iron Gwazi a hot take? I have to preface this by saying I've only been on Iron Gwazi once, early in the morning. It was in the back row, but it was not fully warmed up. We had kind of a disastrous day at BGT. It started like pouring in the middle of the day, so we never got to get back to Gwazi. And not like oh, it's pouring in Florida and it's gonna stop. No, it's just like, it drenched rain for the rest of the day, so our day got cut short, unfortunately. So I've only ridden Iron Gwazi, like, not warmed up. And I know that I need to go back down there, I need to get night rides, I need to experience the whole ride when it's, like, fully warmed up, but unfortunately I've not had the chance to do that. I still feel like I would go to get X2. I've not used Captain Coaster. I have my own little Excel sheet where I kind of track everything. I've tried using a couple different apps, but you know. Did I wonder if I could pull that up real quick? I'm gonna pick that. I'm gonna try to pull something up real quick, which I think should be easy to find, hopefully. Or maybe not. So I invented this thing called the Thuzy Compass. I don't know if y'all have seen the Thuzy Compass. Okay, there we go, I found it. That's not gonna work very well if you can't actually see the background. Let me open that in something where I can make a background. I understand that people don't necessarily agree with most of my takes, but that's fine. But yeah, I invented this. This is my true legacy, the Thuzy Political Compass. Alright, whatever. I could go in and... Let me just do one click. So yeah, if I didn't do this yet, or you haven't seen this yet, I basically made like a little compass based on the political compass to like describe people's ride preferences. So I kind of broke it down into two different categories. So on the horizontal axis, we have force v float, which I think is pretty self-explanatory. You know, force means you want rides to rip your face off, and float means you prefer a ride that's like, you know, a smooth, like, not necessarily relaxing, but you like a smooth ride experience that, you know, kind of flows well from... Maybe I should make it force v flow. Yeah, force v flow would be better, but anyways... And then the bottom and top, we have theming versus ride experience. And this comes down to kind of, what do you prefer more? Do you prefer like what's going on in the roller coaster itself, or do you prefer what's going on around the roller coaster? And if, you know, you're like a Disney adult and you prefer like the theming, like what's going on around the roller coaster, like you would probably end up like here. for like a Disney adult. I know that's like a P. Ignore that. It's meant to be a D. I put myself like here. I'm pretty hard to the force side, the force v float scale, and I don't like. I do think that good theming can enhance a ride a good bit, but overall, like, I'm more concerned about what the ride forces are actually like imparting over like what's going on around. But like, I'm not like a total hard ass about it. Like, I do like a ride with good theming, and I do think good theming can elevate a ride experience. But overall, I do think, you know, the experience of the ride itself matters more to me. I didn't know you were doing business communications with Microsoft. What does that mean? I swear I don't. But yeah, I think this is a fun little thing that people can kind of use to rank their own preferences, because I understand and I recognize that this sort of ranking thing is inherently subjective, and we all kind of have our own opinions and thoughts about, you know, what makes a roller coaster good. I think it's fun to have something kind of this sort. But yeah, so that's the compass. So we'll hop back to the ELO. Twisted Timbers versus Boulder Dash. Voyage, easy. Volcano versus Skyrocket. So I'm thinking I'm gonna do... I think I'm gonna do this to like 4, and then when we get to 4, I'm gonna whip out the Europe map. We'll run through the kind of the Europe map and take a look at, because I'm curious to hear what other people think, like in a live setting, like what they think about my kind of park rankings, like if there's parks that I should definitely prioritize over others, and that sort of thing. So we'll do a couple more minutes of this, and I just want to take a note. It's starting to kind of come out, but like I said before, it kind of just starts to get to the point where you need to have so many matches to really like have this come out, because you need such a high sample size to really get a representative sample. It's like, I don't necessarily disagree with these takes, but like they don't line up with my actual top 10. And like Magnum's not on here, right? Like, if Magnum's not in the top 10, then I don't have enough of a sample size. In the bottom here, again, this is the bottom of my top 100, so these are all still very good coasters. I don't disagree with what's going on here, but I know, poor Griffin's just been stuck in this poor little hellhole. Actually, I'm realizing now, maybe this point differential limit's kind of what I was talking about before. Well, yeah, I mean, Europa Park and Fantasia, I mean, you'll see when we get to the map that they're obviously in the highest tier. And thankfully, they're quite easy to get to because all the flights to Vienna go through Frankfurt. Okay, I-305. So hopefully we can get a couple decent matches. Apollo versus Yukon. I think Yukon's a little better, yeah. Kumba v Alpengeist, sorry Kumba lovers, but Canyon Blaster versus Batman, it's Batman. Wildcat's Revenge, yeah. Dueling Dragons versus Nemesis, it's Nemesis. Orion. Lightning Run versus Thunderhead, it's Kumba v Nitro, yeah. Okay, Sheikra v Griffin. It's a tie. Do we need to get into the minutiae of difference between Sheikra and Griffin? No, we don't. Steel Curtain versus Thunderbolt. It's Steel Curtain. Millie versus Flash. It's Millie. Guardians versus Gootery. I'm gonna pick Gootery. Lightning Rod v Stormrunner. It's Lightning Rod. Sorry. Come on, something good. The Voyage versus Behemoth. It's the Voyage. It's the Voyage. Levi v Rita. Bolton versus Batman. Not too dumb. X2 v Maverick. Did we do X2 v Maverick? No, we did Steve v Maverick. Again, I really love Maverick. I just think X2 is even crazier, so Pumbaa v Jersey Devil. Pumbaa. Raven. Yeah, it's the Raven. Boulder Dash. Dragster. Boulder Dash. Zyrus El Loco. Tie. Great Bear over Tornado, yeah. Yeah, poor Tornado at Stricker's Grove. Again, love that ride. It is Grizzly. Grizzly's great. Voyage versus anyone? Is anyone here in this chat under... I mean, is anyone here in this chat over the age of 60? I don't think anyone in this chat is over the age of 60, so I think we could pretty confidently agree that it's clearly A here, yeah? Yeah? Is anyone gonna disagree with that? If you were born before the Vietnam War, this is your chance to speak now or forever hold your peace. But this is not the American Coaster Enthusiast. This is Thomas XL200 doing a YouTube stream, so... what I say goes, and Phoenix is going down. Chikra over Icon a little bit. Yeah, no, anyone who says that Phoenix is better than the Voyage, I'm sorry, there's something wrong with you. No offense. And also, like, I got a ride in Hollywood Nights on the Voyage where I was basically 2 clicks down. And, like, it's basically as much room as a Buzz Bar, and it was absolutely nuts. So, I'm gonna take Batwing over Copperhead Strike. Take 2 Tatis. Thunderhead v Skyrocket. Tornado. There we go. Tornado gets a W. Afterburn. Ghost Rider v Banshee. Ghost Rider. Ride of Steel, Silver Bullet. I'd say it's pretty even. Phantom's Revenge. Is there anyone who thinks that Steel Force is a better Morgan than Phantom's Revenge? Because it isn't. Fury v Maverick. Okay, okay. Again, I come back to the fact that just, like, Maverick's so short. Just imagine how much better it could be if Maverick was 150, 200 feet tall. Like, imagine that first drop if it were that tall. Thankfully, we have 300-foot tall version of Maverick. It's just called I-305, and it's my #1 for a reason. But I think that Fury takes it just based on the sheer size and speed. But if Maverick did have a little bit more height, it would be a tougher match, I think. Lightning Rod, Alpenfury. Alpenfury slightly. Leviathan. Leviathan. Yeah, that... like, the first drop on Maverick, if it were 50 feet taller, would be just game over. But it's not. It's over in, like, 2 seconds, which is frustrating. Tatsu Grizzly. Yeah, it's Tatsu slightly. Full throttle over the big one. Yeah, Maverick's first drop's amazing. It just needs to be longer. Looking for... this is a pretty good one. Again, based on how modern Grizzly is. Modern Grizzly is incredible. Which makes this a actually very tight fight. And I think that I would have to go with Grizzly, actually. The airtime on Grizzly is, like, genuinely frightening now, and it's actually quite smooth, except right at the end, where it's kind of nice to have a little bit of that roughness. Obviously, Storm Runner's a great ride, but it is short, and it ends pretty quickly. But, both good rides. Both good rides. I've not been to Lagoon yet. If I had gone to Lagoon, then I'm sure Cannibal would be somewhere here. Thank you. We finally have a good Phantom matchup. Phantom v Ghost Rider. Ooh. Phantom for me. However, it's an interesting pairing. A very interesting pairing. I know Phantom's short. The thing about Phantom is that, like, the ops are really solid, and I feel like I never really have to wait long for Phantom, so even though it's a short ride, like, I can always hop right back onto it, like, very quickly. So it doesn't feel like its length kind of goes against it. Ghost Rider feels like it takes forever, I mean that in the highest of praise, but also Ghost Rider... Ghost Rider doesn't have anything as good as those insane airtime hills at the end of Phantom. And also, the positive Gs on Phantom are absolutely nuts. Nobody talks about how good the positives on Phantom are. I don't know why. People should talk about it more. It's incredible. So I'm gonna go with Phantom here, but good matchup, good matchup. Phantom's I mean, yeah, compared to other hypers, it is a short ride, but it does, you don't get off the ride feeling shortchanged. Like, certain other coasters, like, where you just get on and you get off, like, that's it. That's how I feel about Vortex at Canada's Wonderland. It's kind of a big, big thing against it. Legend v Mystic. It's the Legend for me. Again, I'm not the hugest Mystic fan, so Legend's gonna get it. Alright, I'm gonna try to go for one more really good matchup, and then we will pivot a little bit. So let's see. Magnum over Kumba, easy. Fury over the... Okay, not the... The Six Flags America Ride of Steel is a lot less of a... a lot less of an exciting matchup here. Rebolton versus Ride of Steel. Ron, Dragster. Yeah, I'm gonna go for one more good matchup, and then we'll go to the map. Rebolton versus Galactic. E-Back Tornado. Legend v Storm Chaser. That's kind of a good matchup, but I'll look for something a little better. I think Storm Chaser's a little bit better. Steel Force Tornado. It's... eh. Legend Kumba. Legend takes it. Velocicoaster easy over Copperhead. Voyage over Silver Bullet. Vortex over Kumba. I feel like we've had a lot of Vortex. Ghost Rider v Banshee. We've also had a lot of Ghost Rider. It does say when you, like, export the CSV, it'll show you, like, how many times a certain coaster has popped up. And I know it's, like, a pseudo-random thing, but you'll definitely get more coasters popping up. Ghost Rider, Banshee is Ghost Rider. X2 Lightning Run, easy X2. Mystic for Yukon, Mystic. Lightning Rod. Come on. Come on, we need something good. Eh. Wildcats, no. Versus Mystic. No one's gonna fight that. We'll just need a Hagrid. Yeah. Alright, I'm just gonna look for a good one. Alpha, no. Come on, something good. No, you already did. I still think, honestly, a top 100 is a lot for this. There's just so many matches. Like, we're 470 matches in, and it's, like, not even close to... This, by the way, Phantom's easily better than Steel Curtain, but I do like them both. Having to keep track of 3 different Supermans is a little exhausting, I won't lie. Stormrunner, okay. This one's kind of fun. Stormrunner v Maverick. Now, if Stormrunner were longer, I think it could have a legitimate case as being better than Maverick. But it is a really damn short ride. But they do feel rather similar. And obviously Stormrunner has that banging launch. Like, yeah, Maverick's second launch is good. But it's got nothing on a hydraulic hammer, you know? So... this one I could see going either way. I do think, though, just based on the length of the layout, Maverick does take the win here by a very slight margin. But that's a fun combination. I like that. It's a good combination. If anyone disagrees with that, I'm happy to hear it, because I know Stormrunner's kind of a sleeper hit among the more cultured enthusiasts. But I do think Maverick takes it here. We disagree? Alright, well, I'm putting it in, so... great. Alright, now I'm gonna try to find one more Magnum thing to help hype up Magnum. And just gonna be like Magnum VX2 and or Magnum VI305, and I think that feels sad. There's a lot of clicking going on. Alright, the chances of finding Magnum are pretty... Yeah, no, Stormrunner's launch is incredible. I love that thing. Okay. Alright. We're gonna give the ELO list a call here. I think that 471 matches to like 500 matches. It's not like an inaccurate representation, but I wouldn't say it's like a great representation of what I feel like my actual top 10 is. Like, I feel like Iron Gwazi is way too high. I feel like, you know, Steve used to be my #1, so okay. Magnum is way too low. Alpenfury I wouldn't put in my top 10. I think it's like my 15. Great ride, but, you know. With this sort of thing, you do just have to do, like, thousands of matches to get a really good representative sample. I'm debating just, like, doing that. I might do, like, another stream of this sort of thing. I don't know if this is something that you all find entertaining, but if it is, I can do more streams of it in the future, or I might just, like, do it on my off time and then kind of make a video comparing it to my top 25, but we'll see. We'll see. But while we're still here, I did want to go over... I gotta find it first. Okay, so for those of you who have missed what is going on in my life, I'm moving to Europe, and I'm going to be here. Haha, wiener. Wiener. Isn't that funny? I'm gonna really enjoy that for the first 3 months that I'm in Vienna. But yeah, gonna be here. Wiener Prater is my new home park. So what I did out of sheer boredom, because I'm, you know, not employed yet, is I made a list of basically every major European park and kind of made a priority list based on, like, how I want to go and, like, which parks I want to hit up the most. So we have different categories. So there's category 1, which is the green, category 2 is the blue, category 3 is the yellow, and category 4 are the oranges. And then there's some parks that I just didn't feel like listing. These are my big priority parks. I don't think these are crazy choices. It's Portaventura, Liseberg, Efteling, Phantasialand, Europa Park, and Energylandia. I'm very lucky, actually, to have Energylandia as a kind of a home park. It's about 3-4 hours away from Vienna, which, you know, it's not an insignificant trip, but, you know, Vienna's, like, right over here, and Energylandia is right there. And there's a train that runs right back and forth, so I definitely think I'm going to visit Energylandia a good bit, which I'm definitely excited about. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with these, right? Like, these are all good parks, yeah, great. Y'all agree? I know Efteling doesn't really have the most thrilling rides, but everyone tells me that Efteling's, like, the most beautiful park in the world, so... oh yeah, no, Legendia's on the next one. So the next one is, this is category 2A, so I split the categories into 2 different, so 2A are my home parks, and then 2B are kind of my next priority parks. Yeah, I think it'll be funny to... I think I'm the type of person that would enjoy the wild shifts in quality. I'm also excited to experience their good SLC. Maybe I'll try to get that as my 300. That might take a little while, though. So yeah, we got Legendia right next to Energylandia. My other home park, like my next closest park next to Wiener Prater, which is a deeply bizarre place. If you haven't been. Very weird place. My next nearest park, which is about 2 hours away, is Phantasiana, which used to be the Wild Train Park. May it rest in peace. I know now they have a new mock, which seems fun, but I'm really sad that I didn't get to experience Wild Train, because Wild Train seemed nuts, and that would have been really fun to have at a home park. And then Bayern Park, which has that apparently insanely intense X-Car coaster. Those are kind of the main parks that are, like, local to me. Like, Vienna isn't... I wouldn't say Vienna's, like, in the heart of, you know, Thuzy country. My original program that I was looking at was in Aachen, in around like, no, sorry, it's like up over here, which would have had me about 30 minutes from Phantasialand and 2-3-ish hours from Europa Park, which would have been nice. But I'm not going to complain about Vienna. Vienna is obviously an amazing city for reasons besides just coasters. And it's also easy to get around, so like it will not be hard for me to get all these. Yeah, Freischütz. I'm excited about Freischütz. Then, okay, so those are the home parks, which are the 2As. And then we have the 2Bs, which are the other blue ones. These are my next kind of priority list parks, so I put Parque Warner Madrid, I put Parc Asterix, I put Plopsaland, Walibi Holland, and Tivoli Gardens. And again, I know Tivoli Gardens probably isn't the greatest park, but this is more that, like, I just want to go to Copenhagen. And it just happens to be in the middle of Copenhagen, so I plan on hitting that up. Parc Asterix, as you probably know, I've already been there. It would easily be a Category 1 park if I hadn't been there already, but I have. That said, I do really want to go back. Like, ignoring the memes about Goodery, it's just a really good park. Like, incredible theming, like, has some great thrilling attractions. Like, I really liked it. Parque Warner Madrid, obviously, they got Stuntfall, they got that Batman ride. Oh yeah, Expedition G-Force, I think, is in the next category. I may get to... if I were to go to Turkey, I would do it for not roller coaster reasons, if that makes sense. I know they have some roller coasters, but I've looked into like tickets for Istanbul. It's very easy to get to Istanbul from Vienna. It's like $100 round trip. It's a quick flight. I would just want to experience Istanbul, Turkey in general. I don't know if I'd go there like for roller coasters, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, there's good parks here. Those are the Cat 2s. Then the Cat 3s. I'll just do the Cat 3 because there are a lot of the Cat 3s. So there's Parque de Atracciones de Madrid. There's Gardaland. There's Coneyland, which I do really just want to experience Cobra. There's Holiday Park. Holiday Park, I think I'm gonna get pretty easily, just because again, it's right by Frankfurt, and all of my flights are gonna go through Frankfurt. So I'll probably just take a long layover one day and just go ride Expedition G-Force a bunch. Sounds great. Walibi Belgium, Haida Park, Hansa Park. I know people were telling me in the comments of my video that I made, people were telling me that not sleep on Hansa Park. That's the one with the two Gerstlauers, yeah. The Summerlands, Bakken, Groenland, Kamarden, Tusenfried, Linnenmaki. A lot of these parks benefit from being close to other parks. So, you know, for example, like Holiday Park, close to Europa Park, close to Trips Drill. Oh, there we go. There's Trips Drill right there. You know, we have Movie Land, which is apparently just an absurdly weird place next to Gardaland. Mirabilandia is kind of close. You know, Parque de Atracciones de Madrid benefits from being close to Parque Warner Madrid. You know, Movie Park Germany, Toverland, all these guys over here benefit from being close to Phantasialand and Efteling. There's a lot of parks in Europe. And I'm not gonna hit all of them, but, you know, that's why I kind of broke them into tiers, because I want to be like, okay, which parks do I desperately need to visit, like, no matter what happens? Like, these are on the top of my list. Are greens, are category 1s. Which ones am I likely going to visit just because either I'm close, which are the light blues, and the dark blues, which are, like, I would really like to visit, but if I had to pick between only the category 1s and only the category 2s, like, I'm taking the category 1s. Okay. It sounds like I need to give Trips Drill a little more respect than I'm giving it. I will keep that in mind. I will bump it up a category. But yeah, if there's anything else too, I think, yeah, Hansa Park should probably be higher. Trips Drill should probably be higher. You know, I don't know. There might be parks that I'm just missing. Linnenmaki, maybe. I mean, Taiga seems great, but it's like just Taiga, right? And Komarden would be really fun. Maybe I need to give Bonbon Land more respect, but I feel like I don't need to give Bonbon Land more respect. And they're the Euro parks, so I've been to Blackpool, I've been to Alton Towers, I've been to Thorpe Park. They're both good, but not good enough for me to justify, like, putting really high in the list. Honestly, though, I would kind of love to do Flamingo Land and Fantasy Island because they seem like bizarre places. They seem just like really crazy. You know, you just like walk into the park and you feel like you're in a totally different world. But yeah, I mean, that's the idea. I don't know how many of these parks I'm actually gonna hit. I mean, I know Europeans are a lot more generous with their off days, but beyond the roller coasters, there's also a lot of other stuff I just want to see that's not roller coaster related. So, you know, next to Vienna, you have Prague's right over here. Munich is over here. You have Bratislava is right across the border. You have Croatian coast. You have the cities in Poland. You got Budapest in Hungary. There's just so many there's so many good cities around Vienna. I'm excited to explore them, and I'm probably gonna do a decent amount of, you know, my time just exploring cities. Oh yeah, like Berlin. You know, these cities, like, you know, this area down here, not necessarily a great area for, like, roller coasters, but there's some incredibly beautiful cities and incredibly good food and really cool stuff around there, so I'm definitely gonna make an effort to do that too. So that's why I have kind of tiers for this. It's like, I get to choose, like, do I want to go to Flamingo Land or do I want to go to Budapest? I think if I had to make the choice, I think it's gonna be Budapest over Flamingo Land or Bonbon Land or anything like that, but we'll see. I might have more time than I think, and I end up getting, like, all the parks on this list, but I expect to get all the Tier 1 parks, probably all the Tier 2 parks, and, like, half of the T3 parks in the first year. There's a strong chance that I end up staying in Vienna for a second year, and if that's the case, obviously, this map becomes a lot easier to accomplish, but we're just gonna have to see. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. I move on February 24th is my flight. I move into Vienna, and then I start work on March 2nd, and we'll see how it goes. Obviously, it's a crazy shift. Big life change, but I'm excited. It's a good time in my life to do it, because, you know, American academia is kind of falling apart right now due to the choices of some government officials. I won't get into that any further until I get my visa approved. But, you know, yeah, it's bad in America for research now, so I am sort of contributing to the American brain drain, but that is a self-inflicted wound. And if it means that I get to spend a year in Vienna, Austria, and get paid to do a really cool job, then I'm not going to complain about it. And yeah, that's it. If anyone has further recommendations on like, if there's something on this list, like if there's a park that I'm missing, which is a strong chance, like, I will say, I know that Disneyland parks are missing. The problem with the Disneyland parks is that they are right by Parc Astérix, and there is never going to be a time in my life when I go to those parks and not think about just going to Parc Astérix. Who knows? Maybe I'll do like a family trip there. I'm aware they're missing, but it's Parc Astérix. I want to go back to Parc Astérix. Yeah. But if there are any more parks that you think that I need to add to this list, let me know. You know, put them in the chat, put them in the comments of the video when we're done. Like, I'm trying to kind of gather as much info about European parks as I can kind of before I go, so I can make the most informed decisions, because yeah, I'm not gonna have unlimited time. Like, I'm gonna be working a full-time job in Vienna, and I'll only have X amount of time to explore, and I want to do a lot of exploring, but at the same time, I don't think that I'm gonna get everything here. It's just how the cookie crumbles, but we'll see what happens. So if there's something that I need to kind of bring higher on my list, LMK. And I think that's where I'm gonna call it today, so hope you all had fun. Did we enjoy the ELO thing, by the way? Because if we did enjoy the ELO thing, I'm debating kind of doing it for future streams, or we could just kind of go back to the Roller Coaster Tycoon thing. Oh, is Titidabo the one that's, like, in the city that has the Vekoma just, like, on the mountain? I was in Barcelona in 2021, but unfortunately our flight got delayed by a day because of a storm. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I didn't get the chance to go to the park, but that is something I would probably hit up if I'm in Barcelona. Okay, if the ELO is good, I will definitely consider bringing it back for future streams. Once I get, like, kind of settled in Vienna, I'll probably settle on a, like, maybe once every 2 weeks, like, twice a month sort of stream thing. We could do the ELO streams, we could do Roller Coaster Tycoon streams. We'll figure that out once I'm kind of more settled there. I think I'm probably gonna do, like, one more stream before I fly over. I kind of, like, need to, you know, not have people around in the house, because in case, like, shit happens. We'll see. But thank you all for watching. I hope you had fun, and thanks for dealing with the BS about the stream. Like I said, the internet's just not as good here, but I think once I adjusted the latency we did the second stream, I think it worked pretty well, so that's good news. Alright, I will see you all. Enjoy your weekend. Have a happy new year, I guess I should say. It's January 10th at this point, but I'll still give you a happy new year. And I hope you're all as excited as I am to experience this. Gonna do plenty of vlogs and, you know, video content and stuff about all these European parks. Oh yeah, no, I'm doing Oktoberfest, but, like, that's just... that is a totally unrelated thing. Like, yeah, I guess there are coasters or Oktoberfest. Sometimes I just, like, forget that there are coasters there. That's not the main reason I'm gonna want to go, but it'll be cool. Alright. I will see you all on the other side. Thank you again. Have a happy new year, and peace out. Bye.